We are now recorded in this in this in these proceedings. So I'm pretty sure that you are really working out with your readings at this point of time, because especially when you are going to design something, it needs to have more background on designing things. It might not be in your it might be found in the readings that I have given you, or it might be found on the other readings that you were able to discover. So today, before I'm going to maybe I can talk in 30 minutes time. I will talk on uh, the wh- the what and the how of learning, and most likely I'm going to ask the why, and probably I'm going to ask further other questions. The most common question that we are going to ask is who, where, when, why, what, and how. So these are common questions that somehow basic one, but if you are being confronted by reality and being asked to these questions, uh, it becomes a difficult one. But somehow acquainting with this type of questions, acquainting the reality, facing the reality, uh, is somehow uh, determines our paradigm of what we look at teaching and learning. If we stick on a paradigm that we believed still uh, not applicable to our present reality, so therefore uh, there will be higher possibility that you will be left behind, and that's the notion that we don't like in the university. We don't want uh, anybody to be left behind. We want everyone to be flexible. We want everyone to adapt to adapt new systems that somehow uh, improve the identity, the dignity, uh, the worthiness of humanity. Those are big words that somehow we need to consider. And somehow in designing courses, it's not then easy to design these things. It's easy to state the principle. It's easy to say that principle one is teaching and learning activities and assessment tasks are aligned to outcomes. That's an easy statement. But somehow applying those things and implementing it and assessing its development, assessing its accomplishment, assessing its or evaluating its uh, performance on how you are going to do it in the real world, it's somewhat messy and quite complex. There are different types of problems in our society. Uh, have you heard about wicked problem? Oh. There are there are three types of problems. One is a tame problems. Yes. Then there's another one. It's a wicked problem. Uh, tame problems, complex problems, and tame problems. Somehow, wicked problems is quite wicked. The term wicked is quite this with, since Monday until yesterday. The term weekend was a new term for us in the university when we deal it with problem, because uh, they don't know that I don't know with you if do you think wicked problem is an academic term? Have you heard that wicked problem, or the wicked phrase, wicked problem, a phrase in which we can call it is an academic phrase? Have you heard about it? Uh, May I go to Sir Jerome Oban? Sir. Hello, Sir Jerome. I have not heard Sir Jerome. May I ask anybody, have you heard the phrase wicked problem as an academic term, as an academic phrase? Or anybody in the group in this meeting? May I ask Ma'am Jessa Villacroses, not in the Zoom. Ma'am Arsenal? Yes, Ma'am Jessa.
Wala pa ako kabati dan na, sir.
So, can we ask?
Ako po, sir. Honestly, wala pa po.
Okay. Yes, it's normal because even in the university, we keep on debating for almost a week on the term wicked problem. Some say that it's not a good term. Some say it's a bad term. Some say we should change the term into different other terms because they found it not familiar, and they found wicked as something evil and something bad. But when we try to look into these things in a in an academic world, wicked problem is a phrase that somehow we called it an academic phrase. So with this, I would like you to uh, I would like to share my screen. I want you to look into this. Okay. I tried to make this structure. We called it infra. Delete not infra, but infrastructure. Uh, First thing is I would like to ask is di ba I asked last meeting between knowledge and information. What is information and what is knowledge? May I hear comment from you before I'm going to discuss this structure? So can I ask Ma'am Gopela or Ma'am Modelo, what is information and what is knowledge? Or what is the difference between information and knowledge?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ma'am.
This is Mrs. Gopela, sir.
Ma'am Gopela, yes, good morning po.
For me, sir, knowledge is that kanang na-instill na gani sa answer. Okay, wait sir, hanap. Ang information, sir, for me is kanang printed na siya, sir, na nadinha daan ang information aside kanang naka print na, sir, ba ang knowledge kanang naka-instilled na gid na siya sa mind, sir, sa learners.
Okay, that's a good thing to hear. Knowledge is something inside the mind of the learners, and information is just something written in some other text. Can I hear other answer from those things, from what is being shared by Ma'am Gopela? Anybody? Can we have Ma'am Mondelo or kinsa ba tong ni-answer kaganina? Is si Ma'am Geneveth ako min, ako min.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The same with the answer, ma'am. In knowledge, it is already learned by a person, and information, it is a written text, or it is a form of a video wherein it gives information for you to gain another knowledge.
Okay. Okay. That's another good thing also to hear. Can I hear another answer before I'm going to proceed my discussion? At least I have three before I'm going to present it to you. This one. Can I ask for Ma'am Bundelo or kinsa man ni siyang si Ma'am Rose, Matilde Rose? Ma'am Genevieve Alquino?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
As per discussion nimo last week, sir, ang information is anything or an input that is stored is stored anywhere. Pwede sa cellphone, pwede sa mga materials, any materials na pwede kakuhaan.
Yes
While
po,
ang
ma'am.
knowledge, it is the information nga na-stored sa hunahuna or na-instill sa brain sa individual wherein it cannot be taken. So naa na sa imuha.
Okay. Okay. That's a good start. Just because I keep on asking this question because it really it's really the essence of why we are going to make the course design. Why do we make the curriculum? Why do we have to make the curriculum? Why do we have to design a curriculum? And why do we have to design in a lower level the course? Because of these things, it's a matter of how to deal with information and how to achieve this knowledge. This is the challenge for every designer in a curriculum designer or a curriculum developer or a course or instructional designer. These things are essential for us to know so that it's not just on the level of our thinking, but even considering the face of others, considering the face of your students. Oh, so these are essential things that we need to consider. So with this, I'm going to have this presentation this way. It's as we all know, information is everywhere. I will start it with the notion that or an assertion or a position that knowledge is information. All knowledge is information, but not all information is knowledge. Again, all knowledge is information, but not all information is knowledge. Uh, Information could be any form of data, any form of things that happens in this world. Uh, it is something that is present in this world. It is something that that is that is being something that exists also in this world. So it's a matter of accessing information. It could be in a level that you can have less access to that information, or you have more access to that information. Most likely, a teacher teaching mathematics and a teacher teaching physical education, in this particular level, we can assume that a teacher in physical education has lesser access on the concepts of deep concepts of mathematics and compared to a physical education teacher. So this is somehow a reality that, does it mean that if I am not a major in mathematics, I don't know mathematics? That's not true, because it's a matter of information is less accessible to somebody and other information is more accessible to somebody. So, or to other person. So therefore, information is not knowledge. So the moment you process that information, and the processing could be also have categories such as processing it in the form of being simple processing, or it's a complex process. So a multiple, a simple, say for example, a simple process is just simply teaching. Say for example, if you are just simply go for, say this time is a teacher centered. That's what we used to do. It's a simple approach or a process of teaching. The teacher is the one talking in class, and the students are just simply listening in class. Whereas a more complex one is when you provide only the outcome, and you allow students to find their own content and to develop how they are going to achieve the outcome. So no matter what processes it would be, as long as you process those information, it will lead you to a response. So when there is a data, there's an information, and information exists, but if you do not process that information, a person cannot respond to that information. Responding to an information means it could be in the form of your cognition, and it could be in a form of your psychomotor, and it could be in a form of your affective domain. So by responding to it, because you undergone a process, so you were able to develop, in which later on you can have your own way of doing it. You can have your own way of describing it. You have your own way of presenting it. You have your own way of performing it. You have your own way of executing it. And you can even create or innovate in a more further way of what is being the gap that has not been solved in the previous consideration of that particular knowledge that you develop. So in a process that, in a way that if you don't process information, it will not be converted into knowledge. So because it will not be because without processing information, information it just simply exists in any form or any manner and can be stored in any everywhere. But if you don't process it, so therefore you are not gaining from that information. So the same thing that if you are going to make curriculum, if you are going to make curriculum, there's an information that you are going to gather. Everything, all the factors that you need to gather in designing that curriculum. At the same thing in a lower level, all the things that you need to design a course. So if you don't process it, it will not, it will just simply remain as information. A book will remain a book, and you will not gain knowledge from the book because it's just simply an information that exists in the book. The moment you process that information and you allow others to process it, so you allow others to gain knowledge from it. So therefore, our role as a teacher is essential in processing information, especially in processing information for others, for our learners. Because if you cannot clearly design your course and you did not process it well, so your learners will not respond to it. respond could be in the form of easy or complex or difficult. It could be a multiple choice test or a true or false test is easier than a open-ended question. So the moment you design, you have the data, you process it, you decide it when, then you allow others to respond to it so that they themselves can create their own possible action that what we think is right now, what we think is correct in our generation will be improved in a further generation. Somehow, that's the concept of what we are trying to call lifelong learning. But if you don't have, if you are really just simply stating lifelong learning without self-determined learners, you cannot achieve lifelong learners or lifelong learning because transmissibility of information does not mean knowledge. The moment you transmit information to a particular person does not mean knowledge at all. If there's a if there's a transmission in which one of the processes of processing knowledge, because you have, it's not just simply sending it to the learner. It's not just simply giving information to the learner, but siguro considering how the learner learn. So these are important things that you have to consider. So therefore, in order to gain that knowledge, you need to process information so that you can respond to it and you can have your action. So that's the reason that we try to emphasize this time that we are really on outcomes-based education. Okay, not it's more on learner-centered because we want our students to take action on their own learning. But the next question, how can we allow students to take action on their learning? So it depends on our design, in our course design. It depends upon our curriculum design. So with that, with that, I would like to ask these questions to you. Uh, okay. Start asking questions to yourself in this, in terms of teaching and learning. So, what is your why of learning? I'm sorry, I think I have to correct the spelling here. Okay. What is your why of learning? What is your what of learning and what is your how of learning? And are these enough in this VOCAD world? VOCAD means in this vulnerable, in this vulnerability, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and disruptive world. Are these enough in this vulnerable world, in this uncertain world, in this complex world, in this ambiguous world, in this disruptive world? So I'll give you maybe 10 minutes to write it up. Put it in the chat box. I think you have the chat box. Ano? I think we have the chat box here. You can write your answers in the chat box and try to answer this question. in just simply, maybe it's in a phrase or in a in a in a sentence, in a one sentence only. I don't want to have a high explanation of things, because the moment you have your one sentence or even one word that will explain to the why of learning, to the what of learning, to the how of learning. And probably in this, are this enough in this vocab world? So probably you can ask, you can have a good a brief answer to this. So I'll give you 10 minutes, or I'll be back at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to see your answers in the chat box, and let's try to read each answer in the chat box so that uh, we can determine these things. Why I'm asking this question? You might wonder why I'm asking this question. Because I have to know what will be the background of students or the learners here in this course in terms of design. And last night, I will going to share your answer. I tried to deconstruct your answer. I tried to thematize your answer last night on the activity that we had, the question of what are your experiences in the course design, the components, the other thing, the approaches, and the gaps of learning. I tried to make some deconstruction of it. I will going to present it to you also later part of this session. So with this, I hold you in this question. I try to answer this one in 10 minutes, and we'll go back to our session on this. Okay? Are there any questions on this activity? Hello? Hello, everyone. Can I hear some feedback about this one? So just try to answer it in your chat box in this Zoom so that we can read it. I can read it also. Uh, no no need of long answer. Just simply a word, a phrase will do. Just to catch up with your thinking about these things. Okay, can we have it at 9 o'clock? Can I hear a thumbs up or a confirmation from the group?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be back at 9 o'clock. So you just put your answer in the chat box so that everyone can see. Ano? Katuod mo sa chat box aning kuan sa Zoom?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, just put it there so that we are going to read it later. Sige. I'll be back at 9 o'clock.
Saba kinagsan nagkuan sir. Gawas kini ko makakuan. Panggawas mo kay nag-answer ko. Gawas mo na kunya na usulod. Sige ako nila mo gawas oy. Gawas mo niya nila kumukuan sa inyo. Kadiyot lang. Oh, kaligo.
Hello, everyone. I think there are 2 minutes left. Let's try to check our chat box if there are people answering. I have to stop sharing this one. Nice to hear. Why of learning? So that learners will be able to process information, become well equipped, and knowledgeable and prepared in learning activities. Here, that's a good answer. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I think let's try to go back now. First is the question that I posted is let's try to deconstruct, not to deconstruct on these things, but try to just simply ask ourselves when we have this why of learning, the question why pertains to what? What do you think is
Reason, sir.
reason? Very good. What is your reason of learning? That's the good thing.
Yes.
The what of learning
The
pertains to what?
purpose, sir.
The purpose, or just simply reason and purpose could be together, but the
Yes.
what just simply for me, I think it's clear to us is the content. It's
Mm-mm.
what we are going
Content.
to, the content of learning.
Sir.
So the how of learning could be what?
Yes.
Could it be the process, sir, of how it should be?
Process, the process, then the strategy. Ano?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it clear to us? So do you think if you try to deal with the reason, it means it redound to what? It redound to uh, the reason, the why is it redound to your philosophy of learning.
Yes, sir.
So you have to ask yourself, what is my reason of learning? What would be the benefits of education? The benefit of education would be learning. So then what is my philosophy then in learning? So even you also ask yourself as a teacher, what is my philosophy as a teacher? Because you will be the one to decide. So the same thing with the curriculum, that you are going to ask, what would be the philosophy that I am going to anchor? Okay. What would be the philosophy that I am going to stand? Because my philosophy will also determine my paradigm, how I'm going to look at reality. Clear?
Yes,
Clear with the
sir.
why question. It's a simple question, but if you are being confronted to it, you try to ask yourself, what will be the why of learning in depth ed? Diba? What will be the why of not in depth ed only, but siguro I'm not going to ask that big question, but I am going to ask it, what will be the why of learning? Wala, hinay kayo. Sorry, basig ako ang volume. Hello. Good morning po. Is it clear
Morning,
now?
sir.
Okay na. Okay na. Just checking the voice. Because may comment galing hinay daw. So maybe I think I already posted it in our Facebook group. So probably I will going to talk about this recording because I keep on posting it in our Facebook group. So let's go back. The why of learning means your philosophy of learning. So it's the same thing as your philosophy of education. Then the what would be somehow what will be the content and the context of dealing with education. Then your strategy in education and your strategy in learning also. So with this, we try to read the answers in the group chat, in the chat group, or in the chat box rather. Asa man siya? Adara. Answer. Sorry, sir. I encountered erratic internet connection, not in the answer. Okay. You have here, I think Ma'am Opelia said, I think to whom and when should be added. Wow, that's a good. To whom and when should be added. That's another thing to consider, because learning should be appropriate in abilities, potentials, and interests of individual. Okay. Here, why of learning? There is a need for us. This is Mom Genevieve. Okay. There's a need for us to learn in order to continue our mission, which is to teach, and we cannot teach what we don't learn. Okay. Okay. Why of learning? I firmly believe that in the world of teaching, there's also a need for us teachers to continuously learn, for us to grow and be more competent in our craft. Being knowledgeable about a lot of things will definitely help us achieving our goals in our chosen craft. Here, somehow, the concept that is very important thing to consider. I don't know of such this philosophy is somehow you are the source of knowledge. You should be a source of knowledge. Who is the one who answering this one? This is Christian Paul. Who is this Christian Paul? Vilio. Can I hear Sir Vilio, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. I think, can you please explain to us your answer on this? What would be your philosophy then in learning or in education?
Based on my answer, sir, because in my interpretation, as a teacher, I believe that we are, as what you have said, we are the source of knowledge from our uh, sa atong learners. And then I believe that it's not only our students who should learn from us. We should also continuously learn from our craft. We should also learn from them, also learn from different strategies and uh, principles in order for us to apply those things and be more competent in our chosen field, especially in teaching. So
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, that's a good answer then. But somehow when I try to look at it based on the facts presented here, it's the why of learning here pertains to being the source of knowledge. But and you want to be somebody that is knowledgeable enough on a particular content or a particular topic so that you can share it to your students. So most likely, if I try to look at it in your answer, is somehow you want that the content, you should have clear content, you should have stock knowledge so that you can share things to others. Okay, that's another, and helps us in achieving our goals. Okay, that's more on the what of learning is really designed by the teacher. Okay,
Yes, sir.
what of learning, it depends on the learner's interest to learn something or learn new things, their passion to learn information, facts, and concepts. This is a good thing. I think this is a good answer, but is it happening in our reality? Uh, can I have Ma'am Mondelo? Because you're acknowledging diversity of learners. You are, can I ask, is Ma'am Mondelo here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, because your answer here is it depends on the learner's interest. So what does it mean? That you have a different content for every learner or a group of learners? Hello, ma'am. Ma'am Modelo.
Ay, naka-off ba yung mic?
Okay, okay, sorry.
Sir, sir, for my own interpretation kasi, sir, sa what of learning, uh, it depends on the interest or the readiness of the learner, sir.
See. But the what of learning pertains to the content of learning. The context, the content, and the context. So we should be in designing learning, in learning design, as a learning designer, you should try to know the what of learning. And the what of learning is the content and the context uh, uh, of a concept, the content of or the topics, the lessons. These are the what of learning. So with this, if you try to consider diverse learners, so does it mean that you are going to have different types of topics for a group or in every learner? Ma'am Modelo? Because somehow
Oh,
it's
sir?
yes. Do you think that here is you said that is it depends upon the interest. So does it mean you have different types of content that you are going to give to your student?
Kuan, sir, kanang use different strategies
Use
which would
different
fit to the learners.
strategies, but not the content. Ma'am Modelo,
Sir?
you are going to use different strategies, but not the content. You have a common content. You have common content, but you have different strategies.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Additional kay Ma'am Mondelo, sir, I think ang iyang buti pasabot is you need to modify the content or strategies you're going to use so that you can meet or you can maboost nimo ang potential or interest sa ka-estudyante, sir.
Okay, okay. That's how I understand it. Siguro nga, pwede ra siya, the content is already there,
Yes,
and
sir.
they can modify the content so that, and use different strategies
Strategies.
based on the interest
sir.
of the learner. Okay. Okay. That sounds, because it sounds good, because later on I want you to see where do you belong later. That's what I want you to explain of it, so that I can, once I'm going to share it, the information to you later, and you can process it, then you will compare your answers to the real context of it. So the why of learning, Miss Gopella, Ma'am Gopella, is a why of learning. For my continuation of learning and knowledge gains, so that I can improve my skills in teaching young children. So continuation of learning, something progressing. So something that you are going to go further. So take note of these things, the term progress, continuation, progressing. The why of learning, so that learners will be able to process information, become well-equipped, knowledgeable, and all these things. Okay? Process information. Okay? Try to look at this one. How of learning is the process of how learners learn things through application and their learning experiences by simply engaging themselves in their learning activities. So you engaging themselves. So you allow students to engage alone, not to the activity and to others. Okay. Why of learning? For the student to gain knowledge and experience about something. What of learning? Students may actively construct knowledge and transfer into a skills. Into skills. Okay, students may actively construct knowledge and transfer it, convert it into skills. Knowledge converted into skills. Okay. Thank you for your answer for these things. I would like you to see my next slide. This would be my last slide for this class today. Okay. Have you heard the word pedagogy? Hello, everyone. Can you hear the word pedagogy? Pedagogy is what is to be learned and how is both determined and directed by the teacher. It means that teacher is the one who design, expert is the one who design, and even to the how the students will learn, they are the one who will design. So develops the learner's understanding of a subject. So it's more on cognition. It's more on uh, in the level of thinking that you want to change the learner's way of thinking so that it will change their behavior. So the philosophy the philosophy of it is somehow anchored in the concept of behaviorism. Okay. The theory of it is anchored of the concept of or the theory of behaviorism. Most common study of this one is the stimulus response, the SR of Pavlov, the operant conditioning of Skinner. These are the people who really Taylor. I think Taylor also is one of behaviorism, but somehow the most common one here is Pavlov, the stimulus response, and the operant conditioning by Skinner. On the other side here, andragogy it is determined by the teacher and directed by the learner. So similar to this context that we are doing right now. I set the outcomes. I set the outcomes, but still I'm directing you towards learning. So it's a self-directed learning. It's more on constructivism. Be careful of talking about constructivism because somehow you are constructivism. Said I am applying constructivism. However, the same thing, the what and the how of learning, the content and the strategy of the learning is you are the one who will decide. So if you try to, I was asking of, I was trying to clarify the answer of katong supported by Ma'am Mundelo, supported by Ma'am, isa to ganina ni answer, si Ma'am Mundelo ba to? Answer ba to ni Ma'am Mundelo? I try to support that answer that ingon siya is because it depends upon the interest of the student. Then I ask her does it mean that you will be the one to you are going to give different topics to your students? Because here, the one who will design the content is the teacher, but the how of learning will be on the role of the students to come up with to achieve the outcome. The strategies, you allow students to have their own strategy here. That's constructivism. Because you want students to construct meaning. So does it mean that you will be the one who will be telling them what to do so that they can construct meaning? So in constructivism, that is not true. In constructivism, the students will be the one to construct their own meaning based on their own strategy, not on the strategy of what the teacher wants them to do. it's a different thing in pedagogy, because in pedagogy, the what and the how of learning, the content and the strategy of learning is clearly defined by teacher. But in this andragogy, the what of learning could be determined by the teacher, and the how of learning should be the role of the students. But that's the concept of the here. I think there's andragogy was 1883, 1833, and there's a new concept here by Knowles is in 1975. Uh, they have the concept or the theory of self-directed learning. So with this is the real concept of constructivism. So be careful of using the word constructivism this time. I hope you should be learning that constructivism DI, as we allow students to create their own way of learning. So in Utagogy, there's a new concept, it's a new theory, it's a new Guji by Hayes and Kenyon in the year 2000. Uh, both determination and direction shift to the learner. What does it mean? That you only have your outcome. You only have your outcome, then you allow students to find content. You allow students to make their own strategy on how to to achieve the outcome. And how can this be happen? Sir, grabe man. Because this one is a radical change also. This a shift in paradigm that in reality, if we try to look at our children, if or our children, if you try to look at them, they want to learn their own in their own way. The only thing that is what in our mind is that we want them to learn on our way. So somehow, if you try to look at Montessori schools, they are not pushing students or learners or pupils to learn on a particular content, but they wait for the right time that students would like to learn on that particular content or context and facilitate them in learning. They are just simply background, and they want learners to make their own way of learning it. But in this Montessori school also, it's somehow in the concept, because this one is ideal connectivism philosophy. The other one is constructivism. This is somewhat the borderline of the Montessori school. The type of school is somewhat in the level in the borderline between constructivism and connectivism, because a learner still are guided by students, but not on the extent that the same thing what happened to us in the university or even in the elementary level, that we are really the one teaching them. So, and if you said, sir, we are really applying constructivism in our school, we allow students to create meaning. You try to ask yourself, who designed your course? Still the teacher. Who designed what students to do? Still the teacher. But in the Montessori school, the one that really tried to make the strategy of his or her learning is the learner, because they just simply put an outcome and an outcome that they want to achieve in that particular day, and allow students or allow learners to have their own way of achieving it. Sir, wala na day papel ang teacher ani karon. No, it's not, because you as a teacher would be more mindful on the diversity of learners. Make sure that your design, the way you design learning in this type of environment, is that it would be adaptable to all. So that what does it mean, sir? It means that as a teacher, you have a common ground between you and the learner, in which if the learner cannot learn on his own strategy, the teacher will be the background of the learning process of the learner. So take note, it's different in andragogy, it's different in pedagogy. In andragogy, the how of learning is leave on the learner, but the what of learning is designed by the teacher. But in pedagogy, the what and the how of learning is clearly designed by the teacher. However, in eutagogy, there is a common ground between the teacher and the learner. The learner can determine his or her content, his or her strategy. However, the teacher must acknowledge that in a particular class, there is a diverse learning environment that his or her course design may be adapted to these diverse learners. That's why I keep on focusing. The answer is I was asking about the, di ba ma'am, nahiday ang content ani niya o dili, because in this type of learning now, it's on connectivism. So the what and the how of learning is not enough. You must anchor everything to your philosophy, to the why of learning, or to your philosophy of education. All the things that you are going to do as a teacher, you must anchor all these things in your philosophy. But the way how you find content, the way how to determine the not just simply the content, but the function of content in achieving outcome is very much essential, because you cannot just simply copy what is the content in the book and give it to the student. The students or the learners are not empty glasses. They have their own knowledge. They are not empty. The only thing is that we presume them that the students are empty. And we don't know how to design strategies or how to design courses and strategies that will help students uh, somehow facilitate them on how to learn. So that's the thing that I keep on asking to you is what's the difference between what is the answer, Johnny, and how are we going to find the answer, Johnny? So this one is you if you try to talk, sir, I am learner centered because I'm using in that constructivism. That is not true. That is not a real learner centered. That is a fake learner centered. Because in constructivism, still the what of learning is designed by the teacher. So it might be constructivism is highly inclined to learner centered, but not learner centered per se. I want you to correct that notion. That notion that, sir, I am a facilitator of learning. Yes, it's really true that you are a facilitator of learning. But the next thing, who designed the content? Who designed the strategy? If you it's being asked who designed the content is designed by the teacher. So, and the strategy is designed by uh, the students or can be determined by students, but still on the andragogy level. If you try to look on these things in the andragogy level, still there's a function of teacher, and still you are in a teacher-centered concept. However, not in the extreme side of a teacher-centered context. The extreme side is the behaviorism, in which you are the one determining what and the how of learning. Constructivism is highly inclined to a learner-centered. So sir, unsa man day ang nakunay highly napuday murag ubos-ubos sa highly sir? Yes, ang cognitivism. And the extreme teacher-centered is the behaviorism. If you try to look at, there are 4 things that you are going to consider in my discussion today. One is behaviorism. The second one is the cognitivism, which is the memory, enhancement of memory, more on cognition. Then constructivism and connectivism. In this concept, the 3 things that I mentioned, behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, is teacher-centered, are teacher-centered rather approaches. However, constructivism is highly inclined to learner-centered, but not a learner-centered per se. I hope I will not hear from you also that, sir, I am a constructivist type of learner and a constructivist type of teacher because I adopted the philosophy of John Dewey on progressivism. Oh, di ba? Or, sir, I am really a perennialist, sir. I really adopted perennialism because we are the one who designed and we don't want to change anything. It's because it's a time accepted principle and we have to accept it that as a teacher you are going to teach. That's the perennialist way of thinking. In a learner-centered concept, the teacher is the learner is the teacher and the teacher is the learner. So different thing with behaviorism that you believe that you are the authority to teach and you are the source of knowledge. In behaviorism and cognitivism, you always believe that the teacher is always be the one who will give inputs to the students so that students can process it and probably they will learn from you. So that is the concept of teaching. But we have changed the concept or our paradigm from teaching to learning. So most likely, the principle of constructivism and connectivism are learner-centered. However, I would like to emphasize that constructivism is highly inclined to learner-centered. I hope you understand those things. Questions so far? May I hear questions from the group?
Answer none.
None. So does it mean you don't learn anything? May I hear anything? Because you may ask question.
Sir.
Yes, miss.
Sir, ang differentiated instruction, sir, asa man na siya mo fall? Di ba diyan na siya sa tadyo ni sir?
Miss? Differentiated instruction. So, oh, Ma'am
The
Alquino.
DI.
Yes, differentiated instruction is a differentiated instruction based on the concept of learning styles, not in multiple intelligences. There's a debate in the world today. Normally, DepEd is really after for learning styles. Is it true?
Mm.
Are you checking your students in terms of learning styles?
Before starting, sir, so
Be-
I can identify to what kind of style I'm going to
Yes.
to adopt.
Okay. You are going to assess students based on their learning style. Is it true?
Sir.
Then after which you were able to identify that's the thing that you are going to apply differentiated instruction, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. That's clear to us. However, in the world today, I will going to tell you that in the world today, there's a debate regarding learning styles and multiple intelligences.
Right, good.
I think people are really trying to interchange the term learning styles and multiple intelligences. Oo. Be careful of these things because the directed differentiated instruction could be applied is a strategy. It's not a philosophy, it's the how of learning. It's a strategy, yes. Differentiated instruction could be applicable in the context of highly inclined learner-centered environment or a learner-centered environment. But differentiated instruction is not applicable in behaviorism and cognitivism. Ano? So, most likely, if you are going to ask me, where are we going to apply differentiated instruction? Yes, because you consider learners at this point of time. In cognitivism and in behaviorism, you do not consider the phase of learners because the what and the how of learning is designed by the teacher or an expert. Di ba? Kanang libro, ang libro gidesign man para lang nga sa bata. So di ka kaingon nga no matter how you change the strategy of those things, still you are in a concept on in a theory of behaviorism and cognitivism, but not in the concept of constructivism and connectivism. Because in connectivism, ask the question of what and how are not enough. Because everything of us, every one of us, every teacher must anchor to answer the question of why. Because you have to answer your philosophy of teaching or your philosophy of learning. Everything that you are going to do must be anchored with that philosophy. Then after which, you are going to have your theory. What would be? Then, if that is the case, differentiated instruction is applicable in constructivism and in a connectivism environment. However, be careful. Be careful of your learning styles and try also to study on multiple intelligences. Because the learning style is limiting compared to multiple intelligences. I think how many learning styles that the teacher in your assessment, pila lang kabuok, di ba? Murag 8 naman siguro na or 9 ba na? Pila na kabuok, Ma'am Alquino? Ma'am Genevieve? Pamana siya? Auditory, unsa man siya? Auditory, visual, unsa pa na siya? Kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic.
Oh, pila man na siya ka learning styles? 8. 8 ba tanan? 8, no?
Murag 6 lang, sir.
6 lang? Let's try to enumerate these things. Visual, auditory,
Kinesthetic.
unsa pa man? Unsa pa man na siya? Wa na ta kabalo.
Wala na.
Na. Tay tani. Because you know what? I'm sorry. I'm quite biased on these things. I'm very much biased on these things. But somehow, if you try to talk about multiple intelligences, all the things that you have mentioned in your learning styles are also present in the multiple intelligences. Because as I said, in the world today, there's a debate on multiple intelligences versus learning styles. I'm sorry to tell you that I am in the position of multiple intelligences. I don't want you to follow with me. No, it's a matter of your philosophy on where you are going to stand. It's now your critical and professional judgment on where you stand on it. I am not convincing you, but I'm just telling you that in this debate in the world today of multiple intelligences versus learning styles, your instructor here in the graduate school is in the position of multiple intelligences. Because I believe that, answer. Because it's all the things that you have mentioned in the learning styles are subsumed in the multiple intelligences. And there are so many multiple intelligences that you are going to consider. That's the reason that I'm telling you that be careful of using a differentiated instruction in a learning style. You might not able to capture the diversity of learners in that lesson. I just want you to be careful. I'm not telling you not to use it, but I want you to be careful on it. Okay. So, and it doesn't mean that you have different style. The next thing that you're going to do, how did you design your differentiated instruction? So that's the next thing that we are going to consider. And there will be a lot of readings that you are going to consider to these things. Okay? Okay na. Isa pa may lain mangutan na. Ma'am Alquino. Yes, ma'am?
Noted.
Noted, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for that, ma'am. I don't want you to follow my position on that debate, but I want you to stand in your own position also. Because so far, this type of debate, this type of uh, 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 academic colloquium is somehow very very common to us today, and it's really happening in our classroom. Bitaw makayong ka, oy naman ko'y bata ka ganahan lang gyud magsayaw-sayaw, ano ba? So you might think asa magyud sakto, learning style or multiple intelligences. What I can suggest at this point of time is murag di gyud siya pareha, ma'am. Wala ako position.
Kasi magkapuro-pareha siya gamay.
Oo.
Like, kung
Nay
kaya
nagkapareha
nasa
nila.
multiple intelligence na aral na siya sa learning ko ang
Oo.
style. Pero pareha siya gamay.
I'm going to share to make it clear with my position with these things, no? I'm going to share screen. I'm going to find my file for that one. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. I have to find my document for that. I have to find the work of Spady. Where is that Spady? I have to find the work of
Tradition, musical,
Spady.
bodily kinetic, and verbal kinesthetic, logistical, mathematical.
Okay, let's try to look at your learning styles and pila to ka buok ng learning style?
Walo sa
Walo ka buok? Oh, sige. Sige, let's try to check it here in the multiple intelligences. I got this presentation from William Spady. Have you heard about William Spady? William Spady is somewhat we call it the author of outcomes-based education, and I learned somewhat inclined to the principles of learner-centered. These are the intelligences of human being. Visionary, anticipatory, recall, associate, strategic, systematic, verbal, communicative, intuitive, psychic, tactile, openness, attentiveness, and so on and so forth, and on and on. So, empathetic and supportive is very important in our world today. We should empathize others. Seek first to understand, then to be understood, and support them in their endeavor. Mo na gitawag nila karon og kanang local food pantry sana ilang gi-common karon.
Sir, community pantry.
Community pantry. Di ba? We have to be empathetic of others and try to support others. Di ba? That's the thing that they are presenting in our world today. Try to look at these things. Is it present is being caring present in that environment of learning style? Diba? these are the things that we are going to consider how we are going to design, because somehow masaya talaga ang mag-design ng courses. It's achieving that somehow when you design courses and you're able to implement it, and you will see the progress of your students and the learning of your students. That's your achievement as a teacher. So therefore, I'm not telling you that you go now to multiple intelligences. No, it's not. If you still believe that is learning styles, so still believe on it. Make sure that you can depend on it. The only thing in this world is that, as I said, is that there's always a debate on this matter, learning styles and multiple intelligences. However, I would like to declare that in this class today, your teacher is on the multiple intelligences. I am not influencing you. I'm just telling you what I have learned about multiple intelligences versus learning style. Okay. Okay na? What about? Kumusta na? Na-share ba ito na ako? Nakita mo?
Yes, sir. Katong 25.
Sir,
Oo, katong daghan kayo, marag daghan kayo. Oo, mato. Nad,
mga
on
sab-sab.
daghan pa to. Dili pa to sa ingato lang. So, unsa pa may lain na to? Sige daw. Because not everyone, you just simply answer somewhat the why and the how. Anyway, I'm not going to take long in this class. I'm going to, siguro mga 10:30, mahuman na ta. I'm just going to have this, your answer. Pero meron lang sad. Ay, sorry, not this one. Share screen. I would like to share your answer in, nasaan naman si Excel? Di man ako ma-share ang Excel file. Dara, nara di ay ako katuod. Sorry po. Nakita ninyo? Ano si PowerPoint na naman permanente? Ako sa I have to close my PowerPoint. Nakita niyo yung Excel file na to? Hello everyone. Namoy nakita niya Excel file?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to hide the answers also. Nakita niyo nakita niyo yung mga pangalan? Ako saning ikuanday. Sorry. I have to hide your names first before presenting it to you. Okay na. Nakita ninyo ang iyong answer? What are your experiences in designing courses to respond to the dynamics of educational ecosystems? And there are 5 questions that I posted on that activity. Let me ask you a question. How are you going to check the work of your students in terms of essay or open-ended question?
Through rubric, sir.
Okay, very good. Rubric.
Yes, sir.
So after checking of it, what's the next thing that you are going to do?
You are going now to give feedback, sir, I think.
Feedback. Okay. To each student. So
Yes, sir.
okay, I'm not going to use rubric, but at the end of, because I am really after on the concept of connectivism and try to put it in a hub, that everything will be put in that network. I'm trying to introduce a thematic analysis on how to answer these things. I think this is not the right, this is not the one. I have to stop. My God, that is not the Excel that I want. For a while, I'm going to get that Excel file. Adara. Okay, I have it now. So I don't know if I'm not also going to convince you on this. I'm not telling that rubric is not good in assessing open-ended questions. But what I'm going to tell you, rubric is not good in scoring. Later, I'm going to tell you also what's the problem of that rubric in terms of scoring. I'm not telling you that rubric is bad. I'm only telling you that rubric has a problem in terms of scoring. Oh. My God, asa naman to? Here. Okay. Una yung mga answer. Di ba? I'm just going to have it this way. I was able to try to look at your answers and try to read it as fast as I could last night. I was able to finish these things at 11:30 for deconstructing your answers in question number 1. Because if you have no clear answer in question number 1, most likely your question number 1, it talks about your experience. And the next question, it talks about your approach in designing courses. And in that approach, what will be the components of that approach? And in the fourth question, you are going to somehow map a design framework. So if your answer in number 1 is not clear, so most likely the rest of your answer is also not clear. Okay? Okay. The first question that we posted in our answer here is, what are your experiences? What are your experiences? This one? In designing courses. So if you are not clear with your answer here, if your answer here is not tangible, so most likely your approach in designing courses is also not tangible. The same thing, identifying each component of that approach, which is in the question number 3, what are the components of course design, we're not able to experience it. Mo bitaw ningon ko nga kung nagbasa ko og 100 books and ako ang pilot sa eroplano, mosakay ba mo? So, mo na ang point ana nga, if you don't have that experience, somehow it's gonna be a question on your approach and even telling us what will be the component of each approach that you are telling to us and what will be your design framework. And I think in the question number 5 is about the gaps of course design in your context. So as I said, I did not use rubric. Rubric is a more for me, it's laziness. Laziness on the part of the teacher, and just simply checking all the items. Nakita ninyo ni? Nakita ninyo, my ma'am, mga sir? Hello? Nakita ninyo ni siya nga presentation? Hello po. Can I have
Yes, sir.
Okay, nakita ninyo participants. I did not write your name. It's only participants 1, 2, 3 until 13. I hope it's clear in your screen. And there's a formulated question meanings, and I try to cluster them on your meaning and try to categorize them at the end. So na ay green nga color, na red, na yellow. And there is after all, there's a synthesis of your answer here. So, di ba? Ningon kasi, kisa to ningon og feedback.
O, sir. Ripalda.
Ma'am, yes ma'am. Ma'am Ipalda? Asa to?
Yes,
Ripalda.
sir.
Ma'am Ripalda. Sini kasi ma'am, magbutang siya og rubric, magbutang siya og feedback. But as I said, is a rubric is not that good. But anyway, it's what we are used today. So I try also to use this one. Every time I'm going to answer, I'm going to have the open-ended question with my students. I try to deconstruct it, try to make thematic analysis on these things. So there's the answer of the students here, somewhere here. Try to look at this one. Then I try to code it. Diba? A, B, C. These are the coding. The D and the E and the F, the G, H, and so on and so forth. Try to make some coding that it should be according to you. Then after which you formulate meaning out of those coding. So say for example, the answer here is, I don't know who answered this one. It is time consuming because of the diversity of the learners. So it means the meaning of it is a course design needs a lot of time. So that's how I formulate the meaning of it when I try to read your answer. Somehow it's quite tedious, but it's really processing information, di ba? I did not get out from my infrastructure. How can I gain knowledge from your answer? Ako may nangutana, di ba? Nangutana ko karon. Kung saan ka nako pagkat-on sa ilang mga answer, no? Kung saan ka nako pagkat-on sa akong mga estudyante karon diri sa ADM 503. So if that is the way nga ako nang buhaton, then I need to process information. So that's the thing that I'm doing right now. You have your answer, that your answers are data. So the data that you are sending to me, I process it. I tried to formulate meanings and cluster it into themes. And clustering into themes and try to make synthesis of it. Sige, let's try to work it out. It's time consuming because the diversity of learners is a course design needs a lot of time. Needs more knowledge and experience in crafting or designing the course. Needs to be capacitated in designing courses. Okay. Fit to the type of learners. So course design should consider diversity of learner. Okay. Try to see what happened in your assessment this time. As I said, in this world today, you are not here as a teacher that is authoritarian and tried to check only the work of students as if you are the one who got the correct answer. Take note of these things. I give these things to you. I'm going to send it in our group chat for you to refine the formulated meanings that I was able to process. No, try to look at the assessment this time. The assessment is that I give you a question, an open-ended question, and you are going to answer it. You are going to answer. However, the teacher does not just simply mean that you are correct. This one is correct. This one is correct. This one is correct. Then after which, so what? If it is correct or not? What's the use of it? What's the meaning of it? So later on, how I'm going to help my learners to formulate meaning on what they are doing. So, mo naman yung answer. So, kung mo na yung answer, so I tried to formulate meanings of it. I tried to make thematic analysis of your answer. So, I tried to capture experience, but I don't have answer on approach, components, design, and gaps analysis. Later, siguro as we go along, because these things are very important in every lessons that I'm going to give every Saturday. So I'm going to chunk it. These times I'm going to provide the answer in number 1. Later, I'm going to provide the approach. Okay. So most likely, diba, the first requirement that you are going to do in my class is to have the survey, the systematic survey. The same thing that you are going to do. Most likely is na kung naghatag na kong format sa inyo ha, then you try to create meaning of what you have read. You have to process of the things that you have read. You have to process that information so that you can respond and you can take action and make your own survey or literature review. Right? So this is an example. This is a demonstration on how to process information. You submitted your assignment to me. You give your assignment to me. I read it. I was able to have how many students? 13 students. Pila ta kabuok. So murag daghanta pero wa sila nag-answer. Anyway, I have your names here. Then I can determine who are really working and who are not working. So anyway, it's always be expanded opportunity. Learners can learn not on the same day in the same way. That's the thing. So try to look at these things. I tried to make formulated meanings, and after which I tried to cluster it. This one, it pertains to time. This one pertains to training. This one pertains to diversity of learners. This one pertains to blended learning. And there are teachers who said that they don't have experience, no experience. And some other teachers said there are lack of experience. And there are other teachers said, or other members of this group said that they have experience of it. Okay. So after which I tried to get all these cluster teams. I tried to make categories. So therefore, in my class, now I am learning. In my class today, or in this class, there are teachers that do not have experience in course design. There are teachers that have lack of experience because they are still new in this field. Then there are teachers also with experience. Now, what is the difference, or what are the differences between those who know experience, lack of experience, and with experience? So I tried to categorize them also, and after which I tried to synthesize, no? Pastilan, ingana ka busy jud kay karon niya. You find time. I'm not. It's not true that you have so many. Actually, I cannot. I'm sorry. I tried to empathize people because they have so many paperworks. But for me, if you really have the passion as a teacher, you really find time for your learners. So I cannot say that busy sir, daghang trabaho sir, and all these things. That's not true. It's a matter of scheduling your time and try to. I am not telling you to manage it, but I'm trying to say is scheduling your time, because for me there's a gray area of managing time, because you cannot control and you cannot manage time. The only thing you're gonna do is you schedule your task with respect to time. So with that, I was able to make a synthesis, and I was able to have this information. I want to share it to you. For those who have no experience, there are participants who do not have any experience in course design. because they are new in the basic education system, and the courses they are handling are designed by DepEd. However, others perceive that the course design helps in the development of learners, facilitates in the creating supportive environment, and it needs to be interactive using technology. These are your answers. I just simply synthesize it, and these are the things that I learned from you also. So for those people who have lack of experience, there's only one person who said that na ako'y lack of experience lang yun ko ani sir. So the participant is new and still learning in how to design courses. So there are 7 who answer nga they have experience, but 7 students, learners here in this group, they said that the participants with experience in the course design shared that it should be learner and activity centered. The use of varied IMs help learners to achieve outcomes. The use of blended learning through modular approach and or e-platform is one experience to adapt in the new trend of education. However, there are participants who shared that design is difficult and time consuming, which they need to have additional training to gain knowledge and skills to address the diverse needs of learners. If you try to look at my answer here, I tried to present the positive things and the negative things that you answered in how you experience course design. And that's how you are going to check the work of students, of learners. It's not just simply rubric. It's not just simply giving feedback to them, but try to process it so that that data, try to process it so that it can be converted into knowledge. So this is the thing that I know today in with respect to your group. So mayon day ko nga napagiday wala ka experience of course design. So it's very struggling for my side on these things. Can I hear feedback on these things from you with respect to these answers? Are these things, are the answers that you mentioned present in the synthesis that I had given? Can I hear? Kinsa may nabilin pa
Yes,
diri
sir.
ka. Kinsa man ni siya palihog? Ma'am Ripalda? Yes, ma'am. Na diri imong answer, ma'am. Nakita ni mo imong answer. Do not mention your answer, but I'm just going to ask you a question. Now, na-present ba imong answer diri?
Dili ko kayo ka ku answer kay di man ko ka score og di ko kita tarong sir ba pag school nimo.
Karon nakita nimo ni? Kani? Nakita na nimo karon?
Yes sir.
Okay. Kaning would it be okay to ask your answer kung naa ba asa ka nabilong kadtong no experience, lack of experience, or with experience?
No pa sir because wala pa man ko sa field jud sir.
Okay.
Wala.
Try to look at this one. There are participants who do not have any experience. Nabilong ka dire
Yes sir.
in the course designs because they are new in the basic education system. And the courses they are handling are designed by DepEd. So kung ang katong ikaw nabilong ka sa wala pa jud kay experience about this.
Experience, yes sir.
Yan na po yung wala experience nga wag is naka-experience of course design is because the course that they are handling are designed by DepEd. Pero ningon sila diri, however, others perceive that course design helps in the development of learners. Facilitates in creating supportive environment, and it needs to be interactive using technology. Kinsa may ni answer sa katong mga walay ikaw ma'am nabilong lang ka diri sa mga first part of the sentence who do
Yes,
not
sir.
have any experience. Okay. Kinsa may nabilong sa walay experience nga ni answer somewhat relative to this? Kinsa man kahada? Would it be okay to ask kinsa ni sila? Murag si Ma'am Opilia raman ako estudyante siguro karon dire. Wa nagilain siguro ma'am. Ikaw ra man siguro ni sod ma'am. Sayang no nga real good time ang gikuan ba. You know, I really spend time answering and try to deconstruct these things and processing this information that you have given to me. That's how important on what you are, of what that are the things that you are making and you submitted it to me. I found it relevant as a relevant data, and I tried to analyze it.
Pero sir, question lang sir.
Yes, miss. Yes, ma'am.
Kanang unsa man yung paghatag og kuan sir numerical grade kung inana ba ang kuan unsa kung nag-use ka og cluster themes sir pag analyze sa answer sa for example sir sa mga students then how would unsa ni paghatag og numerical grade sir?
Ma'am, this one is a formative assessment. Diba? Ang kita ka ako dito sa tong course guide.
Yes sir.
Nga na magka-grado dito. Di ba natin upat ka book requirement dito? Yan natin mga percentage po. Yan na po ito enabling task. So kadto may graduhan ako, ma'am. Kani ma'am, mo ni siya ang akong gitan-awan how you progress learning. Because formative assessment is checked, recorded, and analyzed.
Okay sir.
Di ba? Did I check it? Yes, I check your work. Di ba? Did I record it? Yes, kani. Gi-record man ako karon. Did I analyze it? Yes, I analyze it. So, mo na siya, ma'am. Formative assessment man siya, ma'am. Dili man siya summative assessment.
Okay, sir.
Because teachers are really focused on score. They don't focus on and because it leads students also to focus on score. So they tend that they mean that if they have a 95 grade, it means that they are the number one students in the world. So it's not true. So what is true is that when the students and the teacher can process information and convert it into knowledge, that's the thing that is essential. That's the thing that's important of education. We are trying to make, I'm not telling that scoring is bad. Later on, I will tell you a more essential way of how to score and how to make this. Even to tell you is, I don't know how many of you are going to help me on determining how many items per competencies that you are going to give. So, for example, in DepEd, there are so many competencies, and if there are so many competencies and you only have 50 items, how are you going to distribute the number of items in each competencies? In each competency.
Pero sa DepEd karon sir, ako nasabtan sir kay nagkuha naman sila gatong most essential competencies and learning competencies sir.
Okay.
MELC.
Nya human unsa man na siya, ma'am? Kung mo na yung mga most essential, say for example, in a particular course, there's a most essential thing. They are going to identify this number of competency. There's are 10 competence. Before it was 20, but now it's only 10. So if you have 50 items test, how are they going to distribute the number of items on each competency? Does it mean that they are just simply going to divide it that ang 50 nga items tag 5 question kada competency? What are their bases? So, di ba? Sig akong anak minaon lang masig. You know what? Mayon ko ba kabihas na do akong anak na daigi magic naman ni sa mga maestra. Di ba? Kay ngano man, say for example, wala man ni gitudloan ni ultimo pag determine sa competency, they just simply copy the questions in the book and they don't align it to the competency. That's another thing that you have to consider. I don't know. Can I hear from DepEd people? I want them to talk because si Ma'am Ripalda has no experience yet in terms of these learning things in DepEd, but I want to hear also from people from DepEd because I think you have your item analysis and other things. Hello, wala ko isyante. Ikaw ra gyud ba mo isyante, ma'am? Kani si Kuan, si Ma'am Mondelo. Mura mga mga pangalan kita na ako very good. Si Ma'am Jessa Villacruces. Kani siya.
Sir, same sad mi ni Ma'am Ophelia, sir. Wala pang experience, sir. Kayo, kung
Sa
focus sa
DepEd.
field.
O, kinsa may
Yes, sir.
na-experience dili sa field, naman ni sa 7 ka buok. Okay, kinsa man ni siya. Please share your blessings, your experiences. Here, you said that with the 13 who submitted their answers, they said that Monisha, the participants with experience in the course design shared that it should be a learner and activity centered. The use of varied IMs help learners to achieve outcomes. The use of blended learning through modular and or e-platform is one experience to adopt the new trend of education. However, there are participants who shared that course design is difficult and time-consuming, which they need to have additional training to gain knowledge and skills to address the diverse learners. Can I ask anybody in this group who answered in this? There are 7 students, so kinsa man yung naka-answer ani, murag nakabalo man mo sa inyong mga answer dire. You share your answer.
Hello, sir. Good morning. This is Jerome Mobile, sir.
Si Sir Ubal, you're not DepEd. Later, I'm going to ask, sige, higher education muna. Sige, higher education. Sige.
Sir, at this time po kasi, sir, I'm not working in the CHED po, sir. I'm not working in the DepEd po, sir.
Oh, DepEd na ka. Oh, I was thinking na paghihapon ka sa DepEd na ka. Sorry, sige. That's a good thing to hear, sir. Nana ka sa DepEd,
Actually,
sir.
sir,
Gano'n sila ka
sir,
ni Balhin? Gano'n sila ka ni Balhin, sir?
this semester la, sir.
Ha?
This
Karon lang ang
semester la, sir.
semester. Good luck.
Ah,
And
yes,
you
sir.
are permanent this time.
Di pa, sir.
Di pa ka. How come?
Contract
Ano?
pa lang, sir. Kontrata la, sir.
Good for a year.
Yes, sir. Yes po, sir.
Then after which, wala na po may ibalhin.
I think, sir, murag mas kon ko sa CHED, sir.
Oh, sige. Let's go with your
Okay, sir.
DepEd experience. Okay.
Okay, sir. Siguro, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. First question. Do you think imong answer na so diri sa akong
Sir. Sir.
Okay. I don't want to ask ang level basta imong answer dira. Sige, that's a good thing.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Sige, continue, sir.
Okay, sir. Siguro, sir, nakakong experience po with this course designing. Actually, sir, hala pong i-share akong experience, sir, with this, with my teaching experiences. I experienced po kasi teaching in the laing curriculum. First na akong teaching experience is the SOT or the School of Tomorrow curriculum nga wherein ang bata is daganang siya self-paced, paced siya, sir, modular gapon siya ang bata
Okay.
ram cancer ato. So, and second is sa CHED, of course, sa CHED is that ang gingon nato sir, of course, sa CHED is of course learning centered nga siya dapat siya ang bata talaga mo nag siya outcome nga basic kan siyang learnings. On my
Okay.
experience with the DepEd, sir, actually, sir, my answer is based on the CHED, sir, because I have a lot of experience with the CHED compared to DepEd.
Okay.
So, karon, sir, akong ibutang that, sir, is using of varied of LMS or different learning materials sa atong mga
Okay.
estudyante for them to learn, for
Okay.
them to grasp the idea what they wanted nga, or what lagi talaga ma-achieve sa atong course outcome nga atong gibutang sa atong syllabus. So that's why I'm thinking, sir, nga in designing this course, of course, we need unsa man tong idea because unsa man to nga atong buhaton nga mag-grasp sa bata ang idea with these things, with this new system or this new thing, sir, nga to ang gitawag doon nga new learning, tawag di sa bago karon nga curriculum, sir, which is bago karon, sir. So with
Okay.
that, sir, using of the varied LMS, sir, through offline and online, through videos, through anything, sir, nga ang bata mahatag sa bata through this kind of learning material, sir, nga mahatag gud sa bata ang dapat niya nga ma-learn. So
Okay.
in any means, sir, nga in any means po. So that is my idea, sir, with this course designing good nga dapat gud mapaabot sa bata in any means, in any methodology, in any platforms kini siya nga learnings para sa mga bata. So that is my point po, sir.
Okay. You try to look at the term is para maabot sa mga bata. So somehow there should be how are we going to do it at this point of time? So there should be a network that somehow reaching to the point from your point as a teacher to the point of your students, to the points of your students. So somewhat delay, not just simply on your side that we have the conventional way that we have this teacher students present in the classroom, but somehow at this point of time we really need somewhat, as what they called it, a network that will connect learners and teachers in 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 terms of learning. So one way is we called it blended learning. Oh, be careful of the term blended learning. Blended, there's a blended learning in terms of offline. Pwede man sad siyang offline in a sense that teacher, pwede blended nga face-to-face and modular. So offline man na sila. So therefore, offline case na siya. Blended gyapon tawag ana. Blended learning gyapon. Kaya ano man, na sila face-to-face na classroom environment plus naapod sila modular. So two different environment, two different learning environment are blended together. So napoy, that is example of blended learning which is offline. Face-to-face and modular approach, not a module but modular approach. So tanawa, ang bata kung modular approach nasa silang balay. Kung face-to-face, it means ang mga bata pwede ibutang sa classroom. Dili siya matawag og blended kung purely modular approach ra ang imong gibuhat. The most common notion of blended is offline and online. But still, that is not just simply true. Okay ra na siya nga definition nga offline and online. Pero napay kuwang ana. Even the offline can be called as blended. When can be a situation called blended learning in an offline environment? Say for example, katong akong istorya nga face-to-face plus modular approach. Oh, ang bata pwede mag-module na silang balay, ang bata pwede pod moadto sa eskwelahan. In that environment, that is blended learning in the context of offline environment. Pwede pod blended learning nga online. Example, kani karong klase nato is synchronous class. Later, I'm going to save this file, this recorded document, and post it in our Facebook group. So, kadto karon nga hitabo, kani karon nga hitabo, blended gihapon siya. Kay ngano man siya, naa man siya synchronous online class o asynchronous online class. Nakuha, still blended learning, but the context, the environment this time is online environment. Okay? So, generally, kung mayong kagani og offline og online, blended na gyud siya. Pero nagyapoy blended learning in the context of offline environment. Again, example, kadtong offline nga ang bata pwede face-to-face plus modular approach. Okay, blended na. Pero kanang inyong gibuhat sa DepEd karon nga modular approach na dili na siya blended. Pero kung ningon mo og namoy online class pod ana siya, namoy modular plus namoy online class, that could be blended also. Pero if you just simply use modular approach only, that is not blended. Okay?
Sir, I think, sir, blended sa Japon, sir, kay halimbawa sa akong anak, sir, na may mga activities sa modules nga kinahanglan niya i-video, ana, sir, ba, then is, na may group chat sad, sir, kinahanglan adto na lang i-send ang video presentation.
Okay.
So, blended lang sa Japon, sir, dili lang siya purely
Okay.
good nga modular lang.
Okay po. That's a clear example because ang katong modular approach incorporated with an online approach, right? The modular approach is an offline environment. The one that is in the group chat, sending and talking with other students on their learning, that's the online approach. So therefore, still blended. That's correct, ma'am. That's not a problem. Pero ningon ko ganina nga kung ang purpose lang, ang gibuhat lang sa mga teachers sa DepEd is only modular approach, it's not blended. It's a modular approach.
Yes,
Pero
sir.
kung yes, clear ba? Clear ba sa
Yes.
ato? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ang
Sir,
blended,
excuse.
yes, question. Kisa man eh.
How about Kit Adrian Artias, sir?
Yes, sir.
How about kung na face-to-face but limited ang kuan sa mga bata?
Class, unsa pa man?
Modular approach.
Oh, that's unsa man na siya? Online, offline. Offline siya, sir. Kay face to
offline.
face to face, so still blended.
Blended na siya.
Blended yapon siya, blended learning siya, but in an offline environment. Clear ba?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Ang kaning atong klase, try to look at sa atong klase, kung sa man itong klase. Natay synchronous class og naa mo'y video nga makit-an dito sa Facebook group that you can do in asynchronous class at your own pace. Pwede mo tan-aw dito sa recorded video nga akong gi-post dito sa atong klase unsay nahitabo. Kay na-absent mo sa atong klase karon. Example, gusto mo makadungog sa atong gi-discuss anong adlaw. So you can go to our Facebook group and try to open our recorded document. So pakita to recorded document nato dito atong video. So still, it's not anymore synchronous class. It's a asynchronous online class. So therefore, still blended. Synchronous or asynchronous. It means synchronous and asynchronous should be in an online environment. But still, we can consider that one as blended learning. Clear ba ta?
Yes, sir.
Clear,
Oh,
sir.
Yes,
clear.
sir. Clear, sir.
So, ang blended learning, ano sa mahibawan? Naa siya'y
Synchronous, synchronous, sir. Kung
That's-
offline or online.
katong synchronous ag asynchronous, that is an example of a blended online learning. O katong gisulti ni Circuit, katong isa, katong lang limited number of students plus katong naslay modular, still blended siya. Pero blended siya
Offline.
pero offline. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So, katong gihang sample ni Ma'am Kuan, Ma'am isa to ganina ni Ma'am Mondelo or Aquino ba Mondelo ba to? Katong ningon ba nga iyang anak, sir, modular sila sir plus napagyapoy na sila kuan sa mga messenger and other things.
Ripalda, sir.
Ripalda. Oh, that's also blended. That's an example of blended learning. Klaro ta? Oh.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Basta duhana.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
maduhana. Okay, maduhana. It's either offline or online. So
more.
maduho two different
Also
learning
or more.
environment. So I think that's clear to us. So ingana unta tanong nga teacher ba? Yes, ma'am. Kisa ni?
Sir, actually sa DepEd, sir, it is blended man good actually, sir, ang sa DepEd, sir, kay we can reach out the students either through GC,
Yes po.
either through text, or
Yes po.
calling. So, it's a blended good actually. It's not ingon nga modular lang, kay we
Okay po.
wanted to reach out kasi our students.
Okay po. Okay, that's clear. Oh,
Limited sa share.
okay. Thank you for that sharing, ma'am. That's really clear to me now. Because what I have said a while ago, that if you only use modular approach, that is not blended. So there should be other form of these things. Okay. So, naklaro ba? So, I think ingana ta mag-assess, mag-conduct sa assessment. Maski formative pa na siya, we take it more important than formative. Siguro ma'am, magamit ko og rubric once I'm going to have the performance task. But in the formative assessment, anion ta jud. This is my style. We have our own academic freedom on how we are going to check the assessment of students. I will tell you, ganong not good ang rubric in terms of scoring. Kadali lang for a minute. I'm going to find my file. It's somewhere here. Okay. I ma'am, sir, I'm not here in this class to change your strategy. I'm not here to debunk DepEd nor to debunk CHED. I am here to tell you the principles, the philosophy of curriculum. And I'm telling to you it clearly to you. And if you think you have doubt on it, please read references. I have given you all those references. Read, read, read. Confirm all the things that I have mentioned, because even the things that I'm telling you now, that rubric is good in terms of assessing performance tasks. But in terms of scoring, rubric is not good. Patay na. Kita ninyo ni? Have you seen this screen? Getting a
Yes,
screen?
sir.
Okay. This presentation is not my presentation. This is the real presentation of William Spady. Try to look at William Spady's presentation. It's not rated. It's criterion A, criterion B, criterion C, criterion D, criterion E. It's not scored. Diba? It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's based on criterion. Because if you measure performance, it is based on criterion, not on scores. Are we clear on those things? So, if you are going to check multiple choice test, it is in terms of scores, right? Hala, wala ini tingog sa akong multiple
Yes,
choice.
sir.
Patay ko ani.
Yes, sir.
O,
Ang
klarohan na
multiple
to.
choice.
Multiple choice is scores yun na, di ba?
Of course, good. Yes, sir.
O, imposible naman po siya, rubric na po na i-answer sa ako. Pastilan.
Of course.
So, pero kung performance gani, sir, mga ma'am, performance man itong istoryahan, ma'am, we are not dealing with scores. We are dealing that the students meet the criteria or a criterion. Klaro? Oh, pareho sa inyo ba? Ang criteria dito ganina, ang category na ay Y experience, na ay lack of experience, na ay experience. Di ba? So, na ay dili pa maayo, na pay low pa siya, na pa siya enabling pa siya, na nag-expert na gid siya. Oh, di ba sa DepEd na ay beginning teacher, na ay sa panasunod distinguished teacher, o sa na highly distinguished o distinct teacher, di ba? Na ay nga na. So it's not on score. It's on criterion. So therefore, performance task should be based on criterion, not on grades. Okay. Say for example, nganong mayon man ko ani nga try to look at your screen. If you put score here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mangutan ako, how many chances that the students get the score of pila man ay kabuok bi? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5 by 4, that's 20 ang perfect score ani. So, how many chances or what will be the opportunities of learners to get the score of 20? Oh, give me the combination. If this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So dapat para makakuha siya 20,
5, 5, 5, 5.
oh dapat 5, 5, 5, 5. How many option? It's only one option. Di ba? So how many? Oh, I think that's a good thing to consider. How many options that the student get 19 nga score? Sige, unsa may sister na tiya ani?
4, 5, 5, 5.
1.
5, 4, 5, 5.
1,
1
2.
na, sir.
Pila ra?
4 tanan.
4 tanan, 4 options. So you are limiting opportunities to student. Oh, you go down. How many instances nga mo 18 hantod mo score siya? How many instances nga ma-score siya og 0? So somehow, if you are going to make these things, you are going to derive. As you go along, you want, sige daw, kung ano sa iyong mga balay karon, pila ka instances ka makascore siya 18, pila ka instances makascore siya 16, pila ka instances makascore siya og makascore siya og 15, and also on and so forth. At this point, it's clear to us that there's only one option for students to get 20. And there's only 4 options that the students can get 19 na score. So therefore, in that particular case, you are limiting the students to get that score. Mas mayo pag mag-scoring nila kung multiple choice test, kay napay tanan option nga ma-score sila tanan og 19. Kay posible ba sa klase tanan, perfect sila tanan. Kay not just simply limiting the opportunity of students to get that particular score. And what is the essence of that score then in the performance task? Does it mean that if you are perfect, you are really good in course design? Does it mean that you are zero this time, that later on you will not be good in course designing? So what's the relevance of the score? Oh, be careful, as I said. I'm not telling you that rubric is not good in measuring performance. But what I'm telling you is in terms of scoring. That's the essence that you have to take, because you are limiting students to what? To get the opportunity to get a particular score. Why not giving students the opportunity that they all have the opportunity to get 20? They all have the opportunity to get 19. They all have to get the opportunity of 17, 15. And try to look at this one. Who is the one setting the score? It's the teacher. So make sure in your performance task, you should not score. Yes, sir, kay atong sistema, mag-score man ta. Diba? So I'm not going to debunk SHED. I'm not going to debunk DepEd. What I want you to learn this time is you can do so with the scoring. But I want you to be aware. I'm not telling SHED, DepEd is wrong. What I'm telling you is I want you to be aware that in this scenario, you are talking about performance tasks and you are measuring criterion. You are measuring performance that is based on criteria. You are not here to score students because it pertains to performance. Maybe in the future educational system, there's a gap in educational system. Maybe in the future educational system that we are going to consider in our grades that na dito ibutang, if you are a teacher in mathematics, best solver in differential equation. Nay, good in calculus, expert in calculus. Oh, that's a criterion because there's something that you are being put in your TOR that is something that's innate in your competency as a person, as a student, as a learner in that particular university. So therefore, makaingon jud ka nga kandi akong i-hire kay mo ni ang gikinahanglan. Di na mo ko kinahanglan o good in kanang basic operation nga mathematics. Akong gikinahanglan is calculus teacher man. So kaning akong butang akong kuno nga grado nga nay criterion didto sa iyang TOR nga expert in calculus. So wala man na ingana karon sa atong TOR. Ang nasa tong TOR calculus nga grade 1.0 ang grado. Or sa DepEd na nagibutang dito is 95 or 100 ang rating sa bata. So wala may gibutang nimo nga unsa gyoy capability sa bata, wala pa ta sa ingana nga educational system. I hope in the future it will happen and it will redound to the thinking of the political will of all teachers who really thinks nga bitaw no dili man dayta kinahanglan mag-determine lagid permi og score. Score could be good but not in performance task. However, presently we are in a system that we need to provide score. Motoy question ni ma'am ganina. Unsaon man di ay paggrado sa estudyante kung di ta maghimo og kanang scoring, sir? Ma'am, what I can tell you is that padayon na lang gihapon siya na sa because we are in this system. But what I'm telling you that you are aware of this time with respect to that gap. Later, kung basig na ay SDS, na ay DepEd Secretary, later na ay presidente sa Pilipinas, nga makausab di ay, patakabalo. Or basig gikan sa atoa ang mausab na nga sistema. We keep on complaining the system is not good, but we are not even aware that the system is not good. So, mo na ang atong iklaro. Nara, si Spady, tapad sa yung na ako ni si Spady, si Dr. Oy, Francis Oy. This is Dr. William Spady. Okay. Klaro ba ta? Ano no? So, unsa naman gid akong note for these things is try to check your work this time with your as I said is your requirement, your outcome. I think I allotted it for 8 weeks and you are now on the 3rd week. The next thing that I'm going to ask from you is a question on kumusta na mo sa inyong readings before we are going to end this session.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yes, sir, Obal. Yes, sir.
For our group, sir, di pa mo, actually, yan sir, di pa mo pundagan na mo na nakakuha na mo sa mga readings. So,
yes.
At this time po, sir, we're planning na amo siyang i-divide. And then, after that one, sir, we will be having a group meeting and have to discuss, sir, kung sa imong pag-abuhaton, sir. So, that is, kung siya mong imong karon nga sa mong grupo, sir.
It's good to hear. I think I have given the format in the group chat, right? Were you able to get that format?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Pwede ba ko ninyo, Sir Jerome, pwede ba ko nimo ma-add? Kasi ang akong kuan manggod, akong Facebook account katong previous katong Carlito Cabas lang, katong walay Carlito Cabas Jr. Na-hack siya sa Facebook because of these mga beautiful things. Na-click na ko, pagka-click na ko, ay ma-hack na ito imong Facebook. So naghimo ka rog Facebook account. That's why I asked you last night to add me in this group chat. Pwede ba ko I don't know kung pwede pa ba ko ma-add ninyo sa atong Facebook group. Ni-access mo sa Facebook group na to? Bugda mo kayo nakitaan.
Yes, sir.
Na, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Napa atong Facebook group.
Na, sir.
Ang problema karon kay ako ra ba ang mo confirm? Yahuman katong Carlito Cabas la siya nga mo confirm. Pwede ba mo maka-confirm sa ako ana?
Dili sir, kay admin na maka-confirm.
Wow.
Pero kung imo ra to gikuan sir, public pwede rami.
Hindi man ako ma-public no. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make another Facebook account. So para akong isend ang akong Facebook group. So siguro invite lang muna ako sa laing Facebook group kay na-hack lagi ang akong Facebook group ato sa una. Okay lang? Within the week I'm going to make those things.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, kay ang request magod, ang request katong recorded para makuan sila. Sige, ma'am. Okay. Other group with respect to their assignment, because I think we are on the 3rd week and somehow next week I hope I can see that's somewhat a framework of what you have read already based on the format they have given. Sa to akong format akong i-give sa inyo is natoy sa literature review. So i-check to dito. Kinsa pa may laing grupo? Grupo ni Ma'am Ripalda.
Yes, sir. Ang uban, sir, sa akong group, naglisod pa mag-access, sir, kay hinay lagi signal sa bukid, sir. Nilugsong pa gani kong bye-bye kay wali signal sa bukid.
So, okay. So, unsa may akong buhaton para makakonect ko sa inyo para makuha na ninyo nga document? Unsa may ganahan ninyo?
okay lang sir kung ma-download nimo sir ba niya, i-send na lang sa GC
O sige, akong i-download, then akong i-send sa GC. Okay.
para maka-access ka nan sir.
O sige, karong gabi.
Sir, maya na sir.
Okay, okay. Sige. Because dili man gud siya ang actually ma'am is kung i-download siya no, putol siya kaayo. Dili siya katong kompleto nga file. Kay kung mo-access gyud ka online katong gamiton nimo ang QR code, marama pud to kayo, marama, sorry ang term. Dili pod maayo ang term sa author katong si Willis or isa tong author ato. Ang iyang gusto na mag-online ka gyud. Kay kung offline ka, i-download nimo, pag download nimo siya, ang ma-receive nimo is only half of the book, not the whole context, not the content. Mo po na ang challenge diha sa kanang pagkuan. So mo ako tong gihimo nga QR code. So I will try my best nga ma-download to na ako tanan, usa-usahon to na akong download, then I'm going to send it in this account. Oo.
Katong book sir nga curriculum sa
Oh,
foundations and issues.
Dili katong conditions and issues, dili raman to siya ma-download kay it's
Literature foundations.
dili katong instructional design. Kanang instructional design. Ayaw tong kuan kay
Sir, no?
ha?
Ang katong pang-WIS.
Oo, katong
Kinahanglan mag-online.
kinala mag-online to
Kay
siya.
Richard Lewis, oo.
Oh, Lewis, si Lewis ba to? Mo to kinahanglan siya mag-online kay kung imo siyang i-download, half la ang imong ma-download ato. Mo to akong challenge
Oo,
bitaw.
dili ang tibuok.
Dili ang tibuok.
Lisod mi sir kay na ako na member sir ba nga taga Maripipi hinay yung signal.
Mo to siya kang Kit Nartia. Kay naman siya sa Maripipi si Kit. Napakas na Maripipi Kit.
Igatangan, sir.
Oh, igatangan dili ka Maripipi, sorry. Sorry, ma'am. Oo. So, mo na itong mga challenges, no? So, I will try my best on how to connect it with you and share it with you within the week. Siguro, normally, magpadala gyud ko og kanang mga information sa iyo Wednesday naman, di ba? Normally, kanagod siya nga time. Kay murag mo na akong murag middle work nga to handle with my students aside from my work. Actually, ang nahitabo mo gud namo karon nga week, wala, grabe jud ka busy. As in, kung may kag busy gyud, kanang overloaded yun nga hapit di na ang tao kanang di gyud ka hapit kalikod lihok sa imong lingkuranan ba ingana kadaghan because we need to design course, we need to design courses, we need to design IGs, instructional guide, we need to design assessments. Daghan kay may design nun karon. We need to design one program and we are in the process of we are now in the process of crafting our institutional outcomes in the university. So mo nang ingana ka busy ang mga tao sa university. Plus dai monitoring sa SHED karong karong Friday April 30. So it's a remote monitoring. So mo na nahitabo sa university. So most likely I can share things on Wednesday kana ingana nga oras. Sige. Okay na? Okay na. So I heard much. I think I was able to extend another 15 minutes because I promised to have it only on 10:30, but it's now 10:47. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement with me, and hopefully you are going to keep on reading so that you can try to slice the performance task of that we are trying to work out, the course outcome that we are trying to achieve in this course. I want you to experience that how we are going to design. At this point of time, I cannot tell that I have to instruct you how to do it, but allow you to explore on it, and later I will give feedback on how to do it. Because we have our own academic freedom, we have our own system on adapting how to design courses and curriculum. However, in all these things that we are talking right now, you must be clear with your philosophy of education. What is your philosophy in education? That is the why of your learning. Then the next thing that you are going to do is what will be the content that I'm going to use in this course design, and what will be the strategy, the how of learning. And it's not only the how of learn, the what and the how of learning that is anchored by on the why. So dapat sad you have to consider the where you are going to find the content. Where are you going to find the right coach on designing? So where and who will be your coach? Katong where asa dapita, katong usa locate, it pertains to location because in a network, say for example in an environment that we are doing right now is on the network, on the internet. It means that it's really true that we have the link, but we don't know how to find it. So we don't know where to locate the right website for us. So we need somebody, we need the who. And I think we have to consider also the whom. So it's not enough to know the why. It's not enough to have your what. It's not enough your strategy, the how. But you have to consider also where are you going to locate your content? Where are you going to content your mentor, your coach in designing courses? And who will be that person? And for whom that you are doing it to your audience. So I hope that's the thing that we are doing today. Again, just simply go back to that structure that I have given you. Information and information will just simply exist. And once it is not converted and it's being processed into, it's not being processed, then it will not be converted into knowledge. And if you don't have clear knowledge on it, you cannot respond to that information. So it's better to process the information so that you can respond to it and you can have the appropriate action on what you are going to do. After all, knowledge, all knowledge is information, but not all information is knowledge. I hope that's the takeaway of our class today, and wish you good luck. I want you to have, can you open your video so that I can have the picture taking of our class today for the purposes of attendance in the university. Turn on your video, please. Then I will going to make the print screen for our class. Okay. Circuit. I hope, Circuit, sana maulian na ka. The Circuit, nawala. Sir Obal, congratulations in the DepEd. It's a new family.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Abi na akong nagyapon ka diri sa ni. Si Circuit, wala pa. Si Sir Mamlani Labong, Ma'am Mundelo, please turn on your video, please, for our attendance. Wala sila video. Okay, nana si Ma'am Labong.
Sir, nagpaong-paong man ako, sir.
Sige lang, ma'am. Sige. Oo.
Dili na ko ma-open ang video, sir.
Okay na. Sige. Okay na, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Have a good day. I will stop recording.
Sir.
Thank you po. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your sharing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I really
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
your brilliance and on these things. Keep it up because it's our motto: brilliance, innovation, innovativeness, progress, solidarity, and unity. Later, I will going to deconstruct the philosophy of BIPSO because we were the one making it right now, but I cannot preempt to provide it right now because it's somewhat premature to share it to you at this point of time. Once it's approved, i-approve na ganyan sa board, then I will be the one to share it to you. The philosophy of the university. At least you will know also that we have our philosophy. Have a good day. Thank you and good luck.